Welcome to the Conversation Corner. I'm glad you joined me today. This is my favorite chair, my favorite corner of my office. This is where I start each and every day in this chair, in this corner. And I just wanted to invite you in today and just have a little conversation in the Conversation Corner in my favorite chair, my favorite corner. Today I want to talk a little bit about attitude. We hear so much about attitude. How often has somebody said to you, change your attitude? Get rid of that attitude. Well, how do we, think about it. How do we change an attitude? What is an attitude? An attitude is made up of three things. When we look at those three things, then we can start to see how we're going to change that attitude, how we're going to change our attitude. So, attitude is made up of our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. So it's made up of those three things. So when somebody says change your attitude, you're like, well, I just got to get happier, or I got to get whatever. But now we can think when somebody says change your attitude, or you expect somebody to change their attitude. What are you looking for in them or in you? So when we change our attitude, of course, we're looking at is made up of our thoughts. How are we thinking? What's our perspective on the situation? What are our thoughts going through our brain about that, whatever it is we need to change our attitude about? Maybe it's work, maybe it's family, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's whatever it is. We look at our thoughts and how can that affect our attitude. Then we can also look at our feelings. How can we change our feelings? When somebody says something, you say, well, that makes me angry. Well, the words didn't make you angry. It's how you received those words that made you angry. So ultimately, when something happens, how can one person be joyful about it and happy, and that same thing happens and somebody else be sad? So things can happen and make us feel different ways. So why is that? It is because it's our chosen response to whatever was said or done. So we get to choose if we are angry. We get to choose if we are joyful. We get to choose if we are happy. We get to choose if we are sad. So that's how we can. That's how our feelings make up our attitude. If somebody says change your attitude and something was said and you're kind of mad about it and you're really thinking about it and you're thinking, boy, that person did me wrong and now I'm mad about it. And excuse me. And that starts working. That starts affecting your attitude, how things go and how you're talking to others and things like that. So that brings me to the third one. Your attitude is also made up of your behaviors. So your attitude is made up of your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. Because won't the first two affect the third one? Your thoughts and your feelings will start to affect how you behave, what you do. Because when you're feeling sad, what might happen? You might start thinking about something and it made you sad. Now you have that feeling of sadness. And now what's behavior? Now your behavior is you might be crying about it. You might just be kind of down about it, not very, just like ho-hum, not much spunk to you. The same thing is true as if we're talking about being angry. You start thinking about that, and you start thinking that, well, that person made me angry, or this situation made me angry, and that angers my feeling. And now it's starting to come out when I'm around other people. I'm talking a little harshly, or I'm speaking kind of loud. So your thoughts and feelings start to affect your behavior. Then your behavior starts to affect you or others or both. So when somebody says change your attitude, now we have something we can work with. We can work with, okay, let me look at my thoughts. What am I thinking? How are those being perceived? And then how are those making me feel? Now, how are those thoughts making me feel? Can I change? Because if I change my thoughts, I can start changing the way I feel. And then when I start changing the way I feel, I can start changing my behavior. And that my behavior and the things I do, in the way I'm treating others, the way I'm having conversations with others, the actions I'm taking. So all those things start to have an effect on your attitude. And when those things collectively start working together, then your attitude begins to change. So, you can control your thoughts, you can control your feelings, you can control your behaviors. Therefore, you get to control your attitude. Isn't that amazing how we have complete control over our attitude? So that being said, we can't blame our attitude on somebody else. Our attitude is our responsibility because we're responsible for our thoughts, we're responsible for our feelings, and we're responsible for our behaviors. Therefore, we become responsible for our attitude. So, thank you for joining me this evening in the Conversation Corner. I just want to share a little bit about attitudes and break it down a little bit for you and let you know that you have complete control over your attitude. You get to decide what type of attitude you want. So know that whatever type of attitude it is that you have, it is because you chose to have that type of attitude. So when you get ready to change that attitude, get ready to change your thoughts, get ready to change your feelings, get ready to change your behaviors. Thank you, and I will see all of you next week here in the corner.